We all know the Flying Dutchman as this ghost that just goes around terrorizing the good citizens of Bikini Bottom and serving Spongebob the occasional creepypasta. But what if I told you that he has a much bigger role than all that? What if I told you that the Dutchman and Patchy share something bigger than their fake pirate personas? That the reason behind that is tied to why he steals the souls of the good citizens of Bikini Bottom. Also, could that have anything to do with the fact that the ghostly Dutchman needs help finding his own treasure? But then again, where did he get all his powers and why? Well, to answer these questions, I had to rewatch all the SpongeBob episodes, sponging up every piece of detail possible. And alas, I found the answer, and it involves Davy Jones tormenting the Dutchman in the episode SpongeBob vs. the Big One. You see, what I found out makes a case for the Dutchman getting a call up to the Avengers. How? Let me explain. In the episode Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost, we learn about the Flying Dutchman's origin. Apparently, dude died and they used his body as a window display. So he haunts the seven seas because he was never put to rest. Interestingly, you can either take the Seven Seas to be the movie theater where SpongeBob goes to watch the movie Weep when he was trying to cure himself of uncontrollable laughter in episode Don't Make Me Laugh, or you could use it in the term that pirates usually use, which means the entire world. Let's go with that. So, is the entire world of the SpongeBob show just the Bikini Bottom? Well, from Back to the Past, Squid on Strike, and here, in Karate Choppers, we realize that the show has subscribed to the multiverse theory. There are indeed alternate universes, but I'll come back to that. Just keep that in mind. But who was this guy before he died anyway? And where did he come from? Well, since the show's writers didn't explicitly say it, we had to figure it out for ourselves. You see, the show basically has two characters who dress up as pirates, Patchy the Pirate and the Flying Dutchman. One is an intentionally childish, happy-go-lucky, and stereotypical pirate.
Patty! Where'd you go?
The other is the Devil of the Sea, who constantly likes to scare people and steal their souls.
Who dares backsash the Flying Dutchman?
Now, you never see both characters in the same scene, and both characters use reading aids. Patchy the Pirate uses glasses, while the Dutchman uses monocles. But as I said earlier, these two never appear in the same scene, and were never born and raised in Bikini Bottom. Now, hold on a second. One is a ghost, while the other is a human? Who died? That's such a creepypasta, but Patchy died, wait for it, while being shot out of a cannon that sent him flying all the way to his death. Since that tragic incident, we never saw the live-action Patchy again, just some animated dude with less charisma. So here's the thing, a kind-hearted man who's obsessed with SpongeBob dies in a terrible manner far from home for him to have been buried. Remember, even the show's writers swore that he would never meet SpongeBob, so it's all over for him. Or is it? So, the so-called pirate is dead on an island, and you know what they say. The Lord of the Bottom of the Seas, Davy Jones, came for his soul. Now, do you remember the Davy Jones locker? That is simply the equivalent of hell, and apart from the folklore, you can tell that it's a bad place by Mr. Krabs' reaction to mentioning it here. Now, while we might not know how exactly the Flying Dutchman and Davy Jones first met, it's pretty easy to deduce it if you read between the lines. Davy Jones has the keys to his locker, which is hell. Patchy dies and is headed there, but because at the core he's someone with a childlike innocence, Davy Jones cuts him a deal. The deal goes something like, you'll bring me souls from my locker and I'll give you exactly what you've always wanted, that even the show's writers wouldn't give. A chance to meet SpongeBob. Yes, he made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And since he needed a lot of souls for his locker and that Patchy had extensive knowledge of SpongeBob's world, he gave him powers to be able to access alternate worlds. However, there is still one small catch. You know that the Dutchman can't eat without his dining sock. Well, actually, they aren't his. They are Davy's gym socks, which, by the way, have a horrid smell. So, yeah, he has to eat with them or he can't eat. Now, imagine having to eat with smelly socks and stealing souls from the seven seas for, what, 5,000 years? Just for the opportunity to meet his hero, SpongeBob? Yeah, I'd hate him too. That's why you always see that love and hate dynamic that the Dutchman has for Spongebob. Well, so he gets his powers and has to do Davy Jones' bidding, but he gets to meet Spongebob. Congratulations, that's it. Not quite. All that cannot be right because the Dutchman I just described is supposed to know everything about Spongebob, and that includes his boss, Mr. Krabs. So what's up with that? And also, why can't this effing pirate find his so-called lost treasure, whatever that is? And more importantly, if the Dutchman and Davy Jones had such a good understanding, why was he getting tormented in SpongeBob versus the Big One? Alright, let me give you straight answers that might answer the first two questions there. First off, Mr. Krabs was rocking a white beard like the architect in Matrix, and that's not a common look among Bikini Bottomites. Secondly, do pirates ever really find their so-called lost treasures, ever? It appears that the odds are always stacked against them, so that's always to be expected. Now, answering the third question is a bit more difficult, but that's because the answer to it also fortifies the answer to the first two. So here it is. One thing we all learnt from Spider-Man is that with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Having gotten great powers like the ability to change size, breathe fire, create illusions, fulfill wishes, and so on, why would you still need to forcefully take Mr. Krabs' money? And for grocery shopping, yeah, if I was Davy Jones too, I would torment him for a while. I mean, this is a guy that can do this. So if he had a problem with Mr. Krabs in the Born Again Krabs episode and almost sent him to Davy Jones' locker for being cheap, well, trying to snatch Mr. Krabs' cashie is all kinds of cheap. But listen, that's not even where we're really going. Yes, we're actually going back to earlier in the episode where he tried to take Mr. Krabs' money to show you this.
You give me back the sack, and I'll give you 3 wishes.
Wishes? I wish we had known that earlier.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flying Dutchman also has the power to travel through time and space. He can manipulate time according to his wishes, which is something you'll need to be able to move through alternate worlds. And that, my friends, provides another explanation for why he might not recognize Mr. Krabs, especially with the beards. He has been living in between worlds for thousands of years that he has forgotten much of what the Patchy the Pirate part of him would remember, especially when you throw in an unusual beard. It's also another explanation for why he needs help finding his lost pirate treasure, because first of all, Patchy the Pirate is only a pirate in dressing. Nothing more, nothing less. The brother doesn't have any treasure anywhere to begin with, talking less of losing it and trying to get it back. But then again, one has to ask, why would the Flying Dutchman be given such powers? To what aim is all that, and why him? Well, we're finally about to get to the part where we'll need the phone number of the Avengers recruitment officer. A new Avenger is roaming around Bikini Bottom. Alright, let's take it back to the very beginning with Patchy the Pirate. Dude was the president of the SpongeBob SquarePants fan club, and his house was filled with all things SpongeBob. He was so enthusiastic about the show that even in his dying moments, he was thinking about singing to SpongeBob.
Oh, who's having a birthday under the sea?
He had a childlike fascination with the show, the places, and everything attached to it. I mean, even us regular fans know about parallel worlds to the SpongeBob universe. Places such as SB-010, which is a universe where, thanks to Sandy's manipulations, the main cast all met at a summer camp called Camp Coral. Then there is SB-008, the dimension where the little monkey man resides, mentioned once by Patrick Star. Also, there is SB-025, a universe where Patrick hosts his own variety show as a teenager. Camp Coral also exists in this reality. And lest we forget, there's Rock Bottom. So if there was ever going to be a need for someone to keep the peace among these alternate realities, who better than someone who knows it all? But for him to be able to do all this, he would need certain powers besides having the charm of a 2-year-old. He would also need to get over his fixation on SpongeBob himself. Could this be why he had to be unalived? So he could meet Davy Jones, get the necessary powers, put the show's writers to shame by meeting SpongeBob, and travel through time, keeping the peace and buying milk? Well, if all this seems like a stretch, yes, I understand that it can feel that way, but think about it. Like we saw in the Ghost Host episode, the Flying Dutchman has the ability to command other ghostly entities and manipulate supernatural elements. And does this control extend to different dimensions? Yes, and we see that where Mr. Krabs gets cursed by the Flying Dutchman, sending him into a dream world that looks like Bikini Bottom, but it's just all his nightmares and fears. Now, apart from traveling through time, we've seen the Dutchman appear in various otherworldly locations. Combine that with his ship's ability to traverse different areas, then there's no doubt that he has access to interdimensional travel. Last but not least is his character as a guardian of the realm. Now, should someone who's to act as the guardian of the realm have a strong sense of justice? Of course, and here again, the Flying Dutchman passed with flying colors. In the R episode, you see the Flying Dutchman reward people for good deeds done towards them. On the other hand, in the Born Again Krabs episode, we see him punish wicked souls, in this case, Mr. Krabs. And like a somewhat true pirate, we've also seen him interacting with artifacts or supernatural occurrences, suggesting that he's protecting or managing ancient powerful forces that impact the multiverse. This man has interacted with several supernatural beings, like that time in Ghost of Christmas Past. So there you have it. The Flying Dutchman is a time-traveling guardian of the Spongebob galaxy. But what if I tell you that he's one step ahead of the actual Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy? Yes, this dude has a real-life folklore about him as a ghostly pirate, which ties into ancient maritime myths. And here's the icing on a cake to show just how big the Flying Dutchman is. Like in SpongeBob, tales about the exploits of this ghost spread far and wide across the seven seas. Pirates fear crossing paths with him due to his legendary status as one of the most powerful and dangerous captains ever. If you still doubt that the Flying Dutchman can be a guardian of the underwater multiverse, that he's responsible for maintaining the balance between different dimensions and realities within the SpongeBob universe, then I guess you'll need to hear it explicitly from the writers. And hold on, if he seems like he enjoys scaring people and stealing their souls, ask yourself, how would you feel about fulfilling such a huge task for over 5,000 years?